Welcome to Real Estate Agent Superstars. From groundbreaking strategies to personal stories of triumph, we're here to uncover the secrets behind the success of the real estate industry's elite. And now, here is your host, R.J. Baxter.
Our guest today is Camellia Corey with Coldwell Banker. She has consistently been in the top 1% with Coldwell Banker over the years, and she's out of the Colorado Springs market. And she's here to share with us her story about her success and the kinds of things she's doing to be so successful in this market. So welcome to the show, Camellia. Really happy to have you here today. You have been absolutely knocking it out of the park, and that's why I wanted to have you on, because some of the things that you've done to grow your business are amazing. And I especially love your story of where you came from. So tell us more about what you did before and how you got involved in this business. Wow. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. So when did you then get into the real estate business? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
version of the MLS where you had to go through the books and look up MLS's
Mm.
listings, and transitioned over into, they were just starting the electronic version of the MLS just a few years earlier. So I at least got that. I wasn't flipping through books. But anyway, it's fun to look back and see the changes in the industry. But when I stepped in, it was all new. I had a lot to learn, and I was
Mhm.
willing to be taught by anybody who would give me the time of day.
Yeah, you picked an interesting time to get started, that's for sure, with the housing crisis happening right after that. And I didn't realize that it was that late that they changed to the online version. You had to do the book before. I mean, I knew you had to do the book before then, but I didn't realize it was that late because I got involved in the business in 2002. But not being on the real estate side, I didn't realize they were still doing the book back then. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm not exactly sure in our local market when they made that switch, but I've heard stories, about having to look properties up in the book, and so I was lucky enough to really have a little bit of an online system, but we did all of our advertising in magazines and newspapers, and
hmm
signages, and I remember going
yep, yep.
to different offices and marketing some of the projects that I had, talking to agents one on one, and it was interesting. I did trade shows, did all kinds of things.
hmm
As a land specialist, we marketed ranches and developments. As a land specialist, you're working with
Yep.
developers who are trying to sell their 50 lots or whatever. So it was fun. It was fun. It was a lot of hard work, and that's what real estate is. It's a whole lot of hard work with great reward at
That's
the
for sure.
end.
Yeah, for sure. I remember running ads in home. Remember Homes and Land
Oh,
magazine? Yep, I remember running ads in that, and it was just different back then.
yep, yep, yeah.
Where did you? You mentioned you were new to the market. Where did you move from?
So at the time, we lived in Pagosa Springs, Colorado, and we lived down there for
Okay,
about 8 years. And then we
that's a
moved
great
up to
area.
the Colorado Springs market. And that's when I made the transition to real estate when we got here.
Mhm.
Got my license, did an online school to get my license, and hit the ground running. And I was fortunate enough to find people that were seasoned in the industry, and just my curiosity and my willingness to help. I'm like, I don't even care if I get paid. Just let me help you. Let me be your runner. Let me go and put signs out. Let me do whatever I can do for you so that I can learn from you the ropes. And I had a great mentor who, when I had a buyer and they wanted to go look at property, he would go with me and he would show me how to tour
Oh,
property. And when they wanted to write an offer, I had somebody else in the company that showed me the ropes of how to fill out a contract and what it meant. And um, it was really great. It was very hands on with people around me. And honestly, I think that's really been the secret of my success is I have
mhm.
never stopped reaching out to people for help, to learn from them. And flipping that around, the more I've learned in this industry, the more knowledge I have gained, the more ability I have to share that with other people. So,
Mhm.
but I mean, I still don't know it all. I've been in the business for a long time, and I still don't know it all. So I still love learning from other people. And I do that in a variety of ways, whether through local or abroad. But I really still just love that piece of it, just being curious about what else is out there. What one more thing can I learn to add to my knowledge about the industry?
That's a great mindset to have because we always can learn more no matter how experienced we are.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
how did you find your early mentors?
Early mentors actually were the very first ones were within the small little boutique in which I worked. And it was a great little boutique, and we all worked together. There were four of us, and they just poured into me. I think they believed in me. That it starts with that, and I think they
Mhm.
knew that the payoff would be there. I would work hard, and I was a sponge, and I was willing to do anything they told me to do. I was willing to do. Kind of the idea that whatever is set before you to do, you're going to do it with all your heart, right? With all your might.
Mhm.
When you live life that way, and just jump in, I wasn't going to look back. This was getting into real estate was not an option of like, I'll just try it. It was like, no, this is what I'm doing. I knew that real estate was what I was going to do. So it wasn't halfway doing it or trying it out. It's like, nope, I'm doing it. So I need help and I'll take all of it that I can get. So they were within the company that we were with.
Mhm.
And then I was with them for about a year, and they made some changes. And so I went to a different brokerage, probably about a year and a half into having my real estate license. And we kind of disbanded that little boutique kind of disbanded a little bit. We went some different directions. So I went to another company that had mentors, and it was a company that had a commercial component to it. And so I found myself doing commercial, but in that company as well, there were agents in there that were willing to take me under their wing and help me and me help them. And the mentors are around you. You don't have to go find one. You just have to open your eyes and look, because they're there. No matter where you're at, somebody is always one step ahead of you. So I didn't have to look far. They were right there within the companies that I was at.
How did you have that conviction early on that real estate was the thing and really committed to it?
It's a fun story to tell. I don't tell it all the time, but when asked, I will tell. So when we were in Pagosa Springs, before we moved to Colorado Springs, it was right before we knew we were coming. And just for a small little window of time, I got a job at Fairfield Resorts. So I was still homeschooling my children. We only had 3 at home of the 5. Still homeschooling my children. We were kind of in a transition time. But I picked up a job at Fairfield Resorts down there that's now a Wyndham. And I was in the marketing department. So I checked guests into the resort. And after they got their keys, they came to me, and there were 5 of us. They'd come to our table, and we would give them their coupons, tell them about the activities that they could do. And my sole job was to book them with an appointment with the sales department to learn about their membership, their timeshare membership, or if they weren't members, if they were guests, to introduce them to the idea of being owners. So it was my job to book those appointments. And I, within about 2 months of being there, my boss, my boss's boss, the manager of the sales department, and even some of the sales agents had all come up to me at random times and said, "Camellia, you would be great on the sales side. You're doing a great job on the front end. You should consider going to the back end." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's okay." I really wasn't out to have a job. It was just a season and time where I needed to have a job. And so I just kind of dismissed it. Then my guests that I was checking in every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, perfect strangers, when they sat down and before they got up to leave 10 minutes later, they were randomly telling me, "Have you ever thought about getting into real estate? You'd make a great realtor. You should get into sales. You'd be great in sales." I heard that every single weekend for probably 2 months. And one weekend I had 10 guests. Now we're talking 10 out of about 50. That's a huge percentage. It was happening every weekend. This particular weekend, it was 1 or 2 per weekend. This particular weekend, it was 10. And I went home and I told my husband, I said, "This is getting really crazy. I don't know why people are saying this, but I had 10 people tell me this weekend that I should consider getting my real estate license and go into sales and get my real estate license." And so I said, "Do you think God might be telling me something?" Because I was just like floored as a matter of fact, I looked around the room to see if there was a sign posted somewhere that if you talk to that girl, tell her she needs to go on. I thought maybe the sales department was playing a trick on me or something, but it just was. It happened every single weekend. And when I asked my husband that, I said, "Do you think God might be telling me something?" He's like, "Well, you think?" After weekend after weekend, I wasn't getting the message. And he's like, "Yeah, you probably maybe should consider that." So that weekend, I decided that, and I do believe God speaks to us and directs our steps. And that is part of the life I live and the life I have lived. And so I kind of just said, "Okay, God, if that is you, could you have one more person tell me, just one, I don't need 10, I don't need 2, I just need one more person tell me in such a way that I will have no doubt." And so that was a Sunday night. And on Tuesday, I had invited one of the guests that I had met and connected with, just really fell in love with them. Just they're an older couple, Ed and Barbara. I don't know. I've lost track of them. But I had invited them out to dinner to meet my husband. And I never did that. That would just happen to be them because they were so amazing. And we had some good connection. So, we went out to dinner on Tuesday night. My husband and I were sitting at the table waiting for them to arrive. I see them come in through the front door. They come walking across the room, and we're talking eye contact from halfway across the room, walked straight up to our table. And without the formal introduction that you would normally make, Ed was just determined to tell me something. And I could see it in his eyes as he was walking towards me. And he said, "Camellia, do you remember the conversation we had with you when you checked us in 2 nights ago?" And I said, "Yes, sir, Ed, I do." And he said, "Well, Barbara and I were having a conversation on the way over here, and we feel so strongly that you should get your real estate license. We want to offer to pay for it."
Wow.
And I just said, "Wow," like you did. Wow. Wow. Okay, I get it. I get that this is what I'm supposed to do. The interesting thing about that story, and I told you with all the details, but the interesting thing with that story is nobody said anything else the next weekend or the weekend after or the weekend after. It's like the faucet turned off. So that was about as clear of a message as you could get that you should be in real estate. Now, I don't know why, but that is my calling. I probably would never have heard that had it not been so specific, because I loved what I did as a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling my kids, doing a lot of volunteering. The transition from that into real estate emotionally was very difficult, because
I'm sure.
you are outside of your home, you're outside of your comfort level. Your identity somewhat changes. I didn't want to change my identity. I loved who I was. I loved what I was doing. And so I was stepping into a world of, wow, this is different. And it took me a little while to get my bearings, but when I did, I fell in love with it. It took me a couple of years to really wrap my head around, this is a career. This is my career, and this is what I'm called to do next. I love taking care of my kids and my family. Now I'm taking care of other people and kind of their families in the world of real estate. And it is truly, it's a glove that fits. And I love it. I love every day of it. I don't feel like I work. I feel like I just get to enjoy life. And I don't wake up and go, "Oh my, I got to go to work today." It is a pleasure. It is a joy. And but I worked really hard in the beginning. It was not easy getting where I'm at, and but there was no looking back for me. There was zero looking back. This is going to work. Hard or not, it's going to work. So that's my story. That's how I got in.
Nice. That's an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
What's the most significant thing that you learned when you first started in the business?
Gosh, the most significant thing I've learned about real estate or myself?
Well, I guess both of those questions.
Okay. So you learn a lot about yourself no matter what journey you embark on. And I feel like every 10 years of our lives, every decade, we embark on kind of a new journey or a new discovery. And we are ever evolving, and we're ever growing, ever changing. And so I think embracing change was a big thing for me, that I had to understand that I am adverse to change. But I had to realize, well, change isn't bad, because I'm becoming a better version of myself every turn of the clock, right? And so growing, changing, embracing, loving, being brave. I think life requires us to be brave. And when you live with doubts, when you live with fears, when you live with self-inadequacies, you cannot be brave. And so I think for me, the idea of my life is by design, and it's going to be by my design, not somebody else's. I think that was a big aha moment for me. Like, I get to make my future what I want it to be. And so I heard myself say that when I was very young, getting married and having children. This is my life. I get to make my choices, my decisions. No one's going to tell me who I am or what I'm going to do. This is my life. I get to, I was 17 when I met my husband, 19 when we got married, 20 when I had my first child. And so we all have hard things that we go through in childhoods, right? And it makes us better. It makes us who we are, really. When you embrace the challenges of your past, bring it into your future, and be that awesome version of yourself because of it, then you can do great things in life. So I had to embrace the idea of change, and that I'm not going to be the person I thought I was. I get to continue to be the person I want to be. So I think real estate forced that on me. I had to look at myself and my shortcomings, maybe some of the voices in my head that I've been listening to all my life that maybe I suppressed a little bit. Those come forth. When you have to get out of your skin and get out there in the world and be in front of perfect strangers, stuff shows up. So manage your stuff. Be honest with yourself about your stuff, and believe. The one thing is, you have never arrived. You will never arrive. And so I just get to keep being the better version of myself every day. So I think that was a big aha. The other big thing I think I learned was, you're never going to get anywhere on your own. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And at any turn, at any encounter, help comes from a lot of places. It comes from the person that might be sitting right beside you in your office. It might come from a book that you're reading, or a podcast you're listening to, or a conference you go to. But reaching out for help, not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, I don't want to start over in anything. I just want to pick up where somebody else left off. A lot of great inventions that have been created and introduced to the world had a predecessor, 2 or 3 generations of predecessors before they ever came to public knowledge or public use. And so I kind of see that in lives. Like, there have been a lot of realtors that have gone before me, and what have they done and what have they done well, and learning from them. So knowing that my success comes from the help of other people, being willing to receive it and also being willing to give it. So that was kind of a fun, first thing in the business to understand and grab.
Nice. How are you different now than compared to your old self back then?
As a realtor, boy, how am I different? The core of me is not different. I'm still eager. I would like to say the things that are still the same is I'm still asking for help. I'm still eager to learn and to grow more. I've never stopped that. I think my understanding of making money has changed me. When I first got into this business, it didn't make sense to me that I would get paid to help people. I know that sounds crazy, but I spent 20 years helping people and never getting paid. So running my home, raising my children, running a support group, mentoring moms, I literally pour out my life every day, and I don't get a paycheck back. So now I pour out my day and I get a paycheck back. That was a very odd transition for me. Part of that showed up, that transition and that hard showed up in my worth. Am I worthy of making money, having income, being wealthy? That was a hard transition. I did not grow up with money and things. And so that is a very personal question and answer and situation. And I know there are other people out there, but self-worth is a thing, and it shows up differently for everybody. But for me, I think it showed up in the money part. And then thinking that when you're in real estate, you're called to be a leader. You're not called to be a private leader. You're called to be a public leader. People are looking to you in the area of ethics, guidance and knowledge, leadership. You have to step up to something different that everyone's got eyes on you. Not that you're not necessarily a celebrity. There are realtors that are celebrities out there, but you're in the limelight a lot. And so I had to get out of my shell. I had to learn to be on video, be able to be in public and have, a bigger public audience and be okay with that. So I think I have a stronger backbone, more confident, more humble. I think those are the 3 things.
Interesting. There's a book that I was turned on to recently. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Worthy. And I still haven't read it. Have you heard of that book?
No, but I'm writing it down.
Yeah, it's next on my list, literally. And that is such a great insight, because I think a lot of us struggle with being worthy, even without the type of background that you have. I think it's a common struggle for people either on the mortgage or real estate side, that they just don't think that they are worthy of having the success that they see other people having. And
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
a huge, huge insight and a interesting perspective to bring that in.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of being humble, you share with me you've been in the top 5 of small teams for a number of years now, and I want to get into some of how you've done that and how you actually bring in the business. So, what are some of the what are a couple of tips that you have that you could share with people on how you have managed to grow such a successful business?
Sure. Well, thanks for asking. And if anybody's watching, and I think I'd like to start with how I got a team. So I think when I was when I was first in real estate, we kind of technically have a team approach mentality if you're a solo agent or if you officially have a team, because your team, if you're a solo agent, your team is really your lender partner, your title partner, your inspector, partner,
Mm-hmm.
your handyman, all those partners that come alongside you to help make a transaction happen. That's really your team of people, right? You're relying on them. But from the perspective of having a team of agents and admin that help you personally, I transitioned from that solo agent into team over the course of about 3 years. And I had been in the business probably 6 or 7 years. And it's when I stepped into the residential side that I realized I have way too much work for what I personally can do well in a 24-hour period. And so I hired a part-time person to help me with some of my marketing. And then they started helping me with my files and dates and deadlines. And pretty soon that part-time person became a full-time person. And then there was more work than she and I could do. So we hired another part-time person who then became a full-time person. And I just realized I have too many clients. So I started giving some of my clients to agents in my office. And then I realized, well, if I'm doing that, why don't I just ask the agents to come join me and have a little team? And so that's really how it began. I didn't really start out saying, oh, I want a team. I'm going to have agents and admin. That was not even on the radar. It just grew into that. It morphed into that. The thing about growing a team is you really have to have written down what you're doing so you can pass it along. You have to have those processes and systems and
Mm-hmm.
accountability and, goals and you're working in your business and on your business. That
Mm-hmm.
transition took a while, and it was 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But once I got it figured out, like, okay, to pass this along, you literally have to write down what you do, and then you train other people to do it. That takes a lot of time if you're already busy. So that's why it kind of took 3 years to kind of figure out how to do that, how to make that transition.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 5 agents on the team, and we had 3 admin and or 2 admin and then myself. And it's structured. The whole goal is that when people look at my team now, they say, wow, you really do have a team. It's not just agents that work under you. You have a team. And just recently we did a kind of a poll amongst our agents, and we asked them to write answers to 4 questions. Why this team? What support does this team offer you the most, and how do you like the tools and technology and support and all that kind of stuff? So we did this interview and asked these questions, and I will tell you what, I almost cried hearing the answers, because the answers to those questions from the agents on our team are exactly the vision that I have for our team. It's agents who know their lane, like I know my lane. My lane is, put me in front of a consumer, I shine. Put me in the back working on documents, I don't shine so much. It's like,
Yeah.
the little engine that could. I don't thrive and shine there. I can do it, but it's not where I shine.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can add agents and admin to my team and put them right in the lane in which they can shine, we all succeed. And there's nothing like trying to put a round peg in a square hole. And so
Right.
our team is really made up of really everybody knowing their lane, and releasing them from an admin perspective. Like, you're my listings coordinator, you run this department. You're my transaction coordinator, you run this department. And really giving life to a position and to a person. And some of the things that we do as a team is we touch base daily. We have a morning check-in. So that we're always learning from each other. We have a Monday morning motivation. On Tuesdays, we have our team meeting. We have a whole agenda for that. Wednesdays, we have a 15-minute business development meeting in the morning where we're talking about one thing about our business that's growing our business, taking our business deeper on an individual basis. Thursdays, we have role play and objection handling. So role playing amongst each other, especially today with, the lawsuit that was settled and all the implications around that and the questions consumers have. So we do that on Thursday. And then Friday, we have it's like a book club. There's a book that we read, one book a month. And on those book reviews, we take turns each month. Everybody picks their own month, and they actually lead the book review. So we all read it, and they just take us through the chapters and kind of give an overview. Monday morning motivation, we rotate as well. Each person has a different month, and they're in charge of a 5-minute Monday motivation. So we touch base as a team every day, encouraging, motivating, supporting, pushing the needle forward. My job as the team lead is to be under everybody, lifting them up to their greatest potential, seeing their gifts, challenging their weaknesses, helping them navigate through the hard. That's what my job is. And I love doing that. I love doing that for my agents and my staff, and I love doing that for my clients. Life is hard. Real estate is hard. And so we all know that. So I woke up as a young mother, and I knew every day, okay, hard's going to show up. So I'm ready for hard. As a team lead or as an agent, I'm going to wake up and life is going to be hard, whether it's going to be hard for me, hard for my clients, hard for somebody around me. Well, hard's going to show up. So I'm going to be ready. And there's a really great quote that if I could just share it, and I should just have it across my mirror, but I think about it all the time. But it says, and this is a recent quote that we heard at a conference that we went to, but it's, somebody said, I'm to be selfish in the morning so that you can be selfless the rest of the day.
Oh, I like that.
Be selfish in the morning so you can be selfless the rest of the day. And that is actually how I live my life. I have my own morning routine, and our whole team, we encourage everybody to have their own morning routine. It looks differently for each person, but you have a morning routine and you have a night routine. And life is by design, business is by design, success is by design. You are in charge. You and you alone are in charge of where that ship goes. And we talk about that. We plan for that. There is nothing that's done by accident. Your default not to plan is a plan. And so we're very, very, very intentional about talking about that on an ongoing basis. There is no such thing as autopilot in real estate. You get up, you dress up, you show up, you write your plan, you work your plan. And then you're held accountable by your partners around you to make sure that if it gets hard, we're here to help. If you get discouraged, we're here to advise. We're going to hold you accountable on the things that you say that you want, those goals that you want to reach. So that quote, be selfish in the morning so that you can be selfless the rest of the day is probably the most successful thing our team has done or is doing. If anybody wants to steal that quote, write it on the mirror. But we also have accountability partners on our team too. So, the whole book club thing on Fridays, best thing that we ever did. Probably started that, 7 years ago. We've been reading books. We started doing it one a month this year. Before we were doing 4 a year. So basically one book a quarter, but you can get through a book in a month. So we changed that up.
Sure.
We're loving it. We're growing together and we're becoming better versions of ourselves, better agents. It's been fun.
Well, this has been really amazing getting to know you and hearing your story, and you have so much wisdom. I just really appreciate you being on the show. And thank you for all those who have listened. We hope you found a lot of value in this show today, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Real Estate Agent Superstars. If you're looking to dive deeper into the world of real estate and catch more episodes, head over to our website at www.realestateagentsuperstars.com. Curious about today's guest? Explore our show notes on the website for more details. Before you go, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and follow us on social media for the latest podcast updates. Thanks for tuning in.